יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם סלם עלינו ועל כל העולם.
Eldad Beck, journalist who I will introduce, brought here by the Israeli embassy. Eldad started off in the Israeli army radio and kind of occupies a unique position. He has seen both worlds, so to speak, the Arab world and the European world, and the Arab world through the eyes of the European world. He has worked in just about any imaginable Israeli written medium, you name it, he's written for it, and he's fresh from Cairo, plucked from Tahrir plane by the Israeli embassy and brought over unscathed.
It is clear that the Muslim forces that are leading the change in parts of the Arab world are not into making any compromises regarding a possible peace process with Israel. The question is very simple. When, for them, when would Israel disappear? And when you talk to people in the streets of Tunis, Cairo, or other places, they really believe that the time has come now through this Muslim revolution, where once again the Ummah al-Islamiyya, the Islamic nation, would find its unity and crash together the state of Israel. In the name of the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, I'm here to tell you that the fight and the jihad for the liberation of Palestine is not something that has to do with the past, but has to do with nowadays. The problem of Palestine is our main problem of all the Muslims.
مجرد قضية إنسانية إنها قضية الإسلام في هذا العصر.
It is not only a humanitarian problem, this is the problem of the Islam in the current decade.
إن كل القضايا تبع لقضية فلسطين.
All our problems are emanating, coming from the problem of Palestine. They were selling outside the mosque these shawls, and
it's very clear.
The thing is that on one side there is this freedom to our hostages, which are the prisoners in the either Egyptian or Israeli prisons, one can never know. Then you have here the flag of Palestine, but with the wording Palestine Islamiyya, which means Palestine Islamic. Not to have any doubt about what do we want in this Palestine. Then Al-Quds is ours, and on this side you have the whole map of Palestine, which is to be liberated by the Muslim nation. We're talking about the fact that actually the main problem of Islam is the question of Palestine, and now that Egypt has been freed, the next step to be done by all Muslims is the liberation of Palestine. Now, they have been speaking about a jihad for the liberation of Palestine, quoting again and again the famous quote, saying that there will be a day where the Muslims will fight all the Jews until they all die, and a tree and a stone would even call the Muslims to say, there is a Jew behind us, kill them. And it was repeated almost in every speech that was pronounced at this occasion.
يستحيل شرط أن تتبدل الظروف في الوطن العربي شرط يعتمد على تعبئة الشعب العربي في القتال. الشعوب محدش بيقدر يقهرها.
هي قضية العرب اللي تجسدت في فلسطين، الهدف كان العرب.
نحن اليوم كما كنا في الأمس وكما سنكون في غد على مفترق طرق. إما أن نعد العدة لاسترجاع فلسطين أو نقبل بالأمر الواقع وضاع فلسطين وسيضيع معها وبعدها أجزاء كثيرة من الوطن العربي.
All of those who speak here are, so to say, secular intellectuals. Some of them, like Mr. Azmi Bishara, also Christians. Without getting too much into conspiracy theories, you see how Al Jazeera came up with this message already 3 years ago, and now what we see is the result of a campaign that took many, many years and is changing the face of the Middle East. Mubarak did a lot of good things to this country. So I don't think that we should have fully supported him. However, I don't think that we should diabolize him. And by the way, since he went away, the military regime now ruling Egypt put in prison many more people than in the times of Mubarak. And let me remind you that Sadat also prisoned a lot of people before he made peace with Israel. So it's there. The system is...
I was wondering, suppose there would be peace with Israel and the Palestinians tomorrow.
Okay.
What would all the Arab countries then fight about, or maybe have peace, or would they conquer the rest of the world? What would they do, in your opinion?
We are dealing, unfortunately, with a religious mythology, which is very much accepted in large parts of the Arab and Muslim world, according to which the Prophet himself, Muhammad, made a peace agreement with his enemies. Now, there are two sorts of enemies that he had. First of all, there were the Jews, who he eliminated for a large part in Saudi Arabia. And this is in the mosque, by the way. There were people saying Khaybar, Khaybar. That was one of the big wars between, in which most of the Jews living in Saudi Arabia were eliminated. And there were the people of Mecca, with whom Muhammad eventually made a peace agreement, but for a short time, with the intention from the very beginning that once conditions would be different, he would break this agreement. Now, this is something that is unfortunately is accepted as a vision of dealing not only with the Israelis and the Jews, but also with the West, you know.
So we're next, right?
Is that a surprise?
No, but
now, let me tell you one thing. Once again, I don't want to demonize the Islam, because I really think that there are a lot of, good Muslims. However, I don't see these good Muslims, especially the good Muslims in the West that were exposed to other things. I don't see them get organized and, get out on the street and make the revolution that they should do. I didn't see the majority of those Muslims who are good Muslims making a huge demonstration after the 11th of September. I didn't see any huge demonstration in the Palestinian territories when, they were bombing buses and stuff like that. I don't see it. Now, this is the silent majority. How long would this majority remain silent? And at what stage does the fact of remaining silent makes you complice of the horrible things that are being done in the name of Islam? The Germans nowadays say, oh, these crimes made by the Nazis in the name of the German people, as if somebody kidnapped the name of the German people and used it for something illegal. It's exactly the same. You have Muslims saying, oh, they're not Muslims. Many of them believe that it's the Mossad who is doing all this, but that's something else. It's a Muslim cannot. You had Erdogan coming up and saying that a Muslim cannot do a genocide, defending Mr. al-Bashir in Sudan. And in this book of the butchers, you hardly find any Muslims because Muslims and Arabs cannot be butchers. Now, the church has believed for a very long time that the Jews killed Jesus. And it took a long time before the church said, well, first of all, it was not the Jews, and definitely it was not the Jews that we live with today. I think that as long as Islam does not go through the same ideological revolution, which means that they finally say Khaybar was 1,400 years ago, finito, whatever was there, and it's still to be found out, has nothing to do with the Jews of today, and has nothing to do with the state of Israel. And as you said before, in the name of peace, let's live together.